Hello there, this is Sonia Wagner representing PCA Families in our first of many recordings designed to capture lived experience and best practice evidence-based learning to assist kinship, permanent and adoptive parents and carers in supporting young people. Being able to learn from peers and connect with those who may help us is particularly important. And today we are discussing sensory play. Before we do, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet. We pay respect to elders past and present and express our intention to move together to a place of justice and partnership. Today I'm joined by Kaisey Hayes. Kaisey is a mother to two gorgeous children who came into her family through adoption and permanent care. Having navigated the system, Kaisey is passionate about improving the journey for children in care and adoptive parents, with particular focus on providing additional support for adoptive families. Kaisey is an enthusiastic volunteer and has been involved with PCA Families fundraising and membership. And we're very, very pleased to join Kaisey with us today. Kaisey, perhaps you could start off by telling us a little bit more about yourself and your background.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you for the lovely introduction and inviting me to be on today's podcast. It's such an honour to be here. As you said, I'm a proud mother of two beautiful children. Our son, who's now 6, joined our family at 4 months of age through adoption, and our daughter, now 4, she joined our family through permanent care at 15 months of age.
Great, so you've got your hands full.
I definitely
Now today we're discussing the topic of sensory play. So I imagine you've had some experience with the children in your life. So sensory play is obviously an activity that stimulates a sense of touch, smell, taste, sight, hearing, as well as anything that engages movement and balance. So that's the official summary of sensory play, but Kaisey, maybe you could tell us a little bit more about what sensory play means to you.
Okay, well, I was going to have the same introduction actually, that sensory play is, as you said, an activity that engages all 5 senses, movement and balance. And I guess when I'm setting up a sensory station, I think about how it will look, smell, taste, sound, touch. I'm thinking about all those senses as I'm actually setting up the station. So the benefits of sensory play are numerous, and they are to encourage problem solving. It's a mindful activity. It helps to build nerve connections in the brain pathways, leading to more complex learning tasks. It supports language development, aids in developing and enhancing memory. It's great for calming an anxious or a frustrated child. And the child also learns about sensory attributes, so hot, cold, sticky, dry.
Great. Okay, so it does encompass quite a lot of different areas of learning, doesn't it? So from the language to the brain to the senses. So so you've got a pharmaceutical background, haven't you? So how did you make this journey from pharmaceuticals to sensory play? They seem like at opposite ends of the spectrum, if you like. So
I guess, as you said, my training is as a pharmacist, and it does involve a lot of science. Unfortunately, I love chemistry and mathematics, so it was an easy decision to go towards pharmacy. But when I think back, I actually believe my path to pharmacy started as a young child, when I used to make lots of potions and healing formulas in the bath. I used shampoo, slime, coloured dyes, and alike, much to my mother's dislike. What I didn't realise was that at the time I was actually exploring my world through sensory play even back then. So
yes,
I think it's I guess I'm a very curious person. I like to understand the why and behind everything, and that also correlates with pharmacy as well. So as I'll discuss a bit further, I actually started exploring sensory play well before my son's placement, and I found then that there was lots of information about how it would open the door for your child's development, their cognition and their behaviour.
Okay, great. So you're replicating something from your childhood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with your children. That's great. And it's always better, isn't it, when it's something that you have a natural interest in anyway. So that passion shines through. Yeah. So how do you do it? I mean, do you need to go out and buy lots of equipment? And you're talking about potions and slime and, so, is it something you can do on a budget, or is it something where you do need a lot of equipment?
It definitely is something you can do on a budget. Sensory play is really only limited by your imagination, and there's no need for you to go out and buy lots of equipment. But if you're like me and you find that you really do love the sensory play, anything that you might purchase, any equipment such as funnels, tubing, cutters, you can often reuse a lot of this stuff as well. So, and station tubs as well, they can range from big enough tubs that the child can actually sit in or lay in, to a small tray that sits on the kitchen table. I sometimes use a mini station, which I use a lunchbox for, to take away when we go on holidays and car trips. A lot of the items you actually will find that you have at home already.
Great.
Many items that are used, such as like water beads, plastic pellets, kinetic sand, coloured rice, pasta that you colour yourself, beans, pom-poms. A lot of these things aren't hugely expensive, and as I said, you can often reuse them as well. Even like buttons, birdseed, leaves, oats, shaving cream, anything you'd like to use. So an example would be like a sensory themed dinosaur station might include toy dinosaur characters, a bit of kinetic sand, pebbles and stones, pieces of wood, pine cones, assorted seeds and plant material, and a bit of moss. But some of our family favourites include cloud dough, which you make simply from flour and a bit of water. As I said, the coloured rice, Play-Doh, that doesn't involve a lot of ingredients, and oats and cereal is something we often use. Actually, this week we made a farm animal station in my household, and what we used there was some wheat bix, yellow rice, kinetic sand, Nutella, and the toy farm animals that my daughter already had.
Wow. So what did you use the wheat bix for? Did you crush that up or something?
No, she used that as hay bales. So
very good. Yeah.
What I usually do is lay out all the ingredients, and then on one plate, and then she has a tub, and she set it all up for the how she wanted the farm to look. So
great. So a lot of dramatic play in there as well with that. Right. Yeah. I once took a big container of dirt with grass on top into a childcare centre and put some farm animals into that to play with. So similar similar concept to what you're talking about. So just that touching and feeling, just kids just love being able to act out some of those scenarios while they're feeling some really nice feelings at the same time. So yeah, great. Well, lots of ideas there on what to do, and obviously you can use things out of the kitchen, containers, spoons, bottles, all those kind of things. That's great.
Just going out into nature and collecting items there and then using them as well. So
yeah, what sort of things from nature do you use, like leaves and bark?
Bark. We have to make sort of a dinosaur slime area, so we get a bit of moss and what else, just mainly the stones and different colored stones around as well too. So
nice, very nice. Great. So, and you mentioned the lunchbox. What sort of things do you put in the lunchbox in the car? I'm curious.
Well, I guess the one we've done was a penguin one, which we used. We had I don't. We've probably seen it. You can get it at Toy World, and they're just like fake snow. So we made the fake snow, and I put the little penguins in there, and then we had I guess a few other. It was actually sort of doing some with I guess sort of little pasta sheets as well too in there as well. And yes.
Yes, great. And what about have you used ice before?
Yes, we use it. We can freeze like little the dinosaur figurines and freeze them, and then the kids have lots of fun. It keeps them occupied for sure. With the ice, that's a huge hit.
Yeah.
So, put that in the coloured ice as well. We use a bit of coloured duck food dye as well. That's a big hit.
Yeah, well, that's they're exploring some science concepts there too, I guess, when the ice is melting and they're kind of working through that.
That's right.
Yes. Learning about that. So great. Oh, excellent. And how do you feel sensory play helps children who are adopted or in permanent care or who have experienced some sort of trauma? What do you think is the way in which that helps those kind of children in particular?
Okay, well, sadly, I guess due to a variety of reasons, children who are adopted in permanent care or have been experienced a trauma are often developmentally delayed. So by providing them with enriching learning experiences allows the child to thrive. So research shows that sensory play helps to build those nerve connections in the brain pathways, which lead to a child's ability to complete more complex tasks. Sensory play supports language development, cognitive growth, fine and gross motor skills, problem solving skills, and social interaction. But the best part of sensory play is that it provides an opportunity for every child to succeed. So children who struggle academically might find solace in sensory play. I probably saw this most noticeably with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
When she arrived at 15 months old, she hadn't been outside. She'd had a great dislike for water. She missed out on tummy time, crawling, and she struggled attempting to walk.
Mm-hmm.
Her balance was terrible, actually. She was crashing into a lot of things. But she only made one sound, and she couldn't concentrate for even the length of a short child's book.
Mm-hmm.
So, but now I'm proud to say that she swims in puddles. Like, she can seriously find a puddle in a desert. She loves them. She runs everywhere. She loves the outdoors, and she'll sit for an hour doing sensory play. But most of all, importantly, I guess her speech has also caught up to the point that she is a real chatterbox. So I know that sensory play, along with other important interventions, have resulted in this for her.
Great. So in terms of language, is that because she's exploring more things that she's developing her language, or are there other reasons why you think it helps language?
I think it helped her in the sense that I could say, what colour is this? Or, just describing, as I said, with the farm animals, what she's set up here, what does that look like for her? And really, I guess, breaking down and just taking that time to really, I guess, label more items and colours and shapes and feel, how does that feel for you? And just talking throughout the time that we're doing the sensory play together.
Yeah, great. And that learning reminds me of, when children are really young and they're putting everything in their mouth and kind of, because it gives you so much more information if you're using one of your senses to learn about an object that you don't know about. So, and I think even as adults, we're doing that all the time as well. We're tasting food that we're cooking. We're still trying to use those senses to modify and adjust and learn as well. So yeah, I can see how that would have been very important for your daughter to learn some new skills fairly rapidly. So it also reminds me of once when we had a rescue cat who had spent all its life in a very small confined area. So it started off in our bathroom in our house, did not want to go onto the floorboards because touching that floorboard was quite threatening. So, it takes time to develop I guess, the sense that that's a safe space to be and to venture out a bit more. So I can see there's parallels there to sensory learning, right? So that's great. So, and do you have any treasured memories of particular times that you've used sensory play with your children, or you've seen things?
I have a lot of treasured memories of using sensory play with my children, but probably just moving on from what we were talking about there before, that my favourite is probably the first time that my daughter had any experience with sensory play. So my son, who likes everything neat and structured, and he had been doing sensory play for some time, so he sort of knew the routine. And then I remember him looking over at my daughter at her station to find she had mess everywhere, was off the mat, it was in her hair, she was eating something. Like, I just remember the look on his face to be priceless. So that was probably one of my treasured memories. It's almost like I could see the pathways just opening up for her. Everything was so new and different, and and it's definitely shone through. She still likes to make a mess everywhere.
Lots of finger painting and that type of thing.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know about you, but did you find there are particular times of the day where it's more relevant? So for me personally, I would have found that like at 5 o'clock, that was when I really wanted to engage in some water play or sand play or something of that nature. Did you have particular times of the day where it was more valuable?
I'd have to say that late afternoon, early evening is probably the most valuable time for my children. And I guess also just, I guess, coming home from school or kinder, just that reconnecting as well, like having something to eat, and then just having a calming activity before you get into the next routine of the day. So a bit of a transitional time. So yes, I think anytime transitioning is good as well. Like that's one of the reasons why I take it on a little one on holidays, because my daughter finds it challenging to be in a new environment that she's not familiar with. So that just helps with that transition as well.
Oh, that's a really good tip. So something important to remember. Great. And do we need to read any particular books or look at any particular resources, or do you have suggestions for those?
Yes, well, to be honest, a lot of what I found was online. There are some books that you can purchase, but most of the resources I've found to be valuable have been online. I've got 5 or 6 websites here, which would you like me to read out the names, or I can provide it for you to provide to the guests?
Yeah.
So I guess a few places that I found quite useful were the Imagination Tree, Little Bins for Little Hands, Lemon Lime Adventures, Hands as We Grow, and The Gift of Curiosity. Another thing I'd just like to mention as well is Craft-A-Size. I'm not sure whether many of our listeners have come across that, but it's a sensory play centre that's actually set up in Airport West, and I couldn't recommend it more.
Wow.
We've been a few times, and I'd encourage you to explore their weekly classes. They have, I guess, they've got all the equipment. They do science experiments, they do movement, they have arts and crafts. It's just the best place to go if you want to do sensory play. And the reason I mention it too is that they actually also do online. You can purchase online the like already pre-made sensory kits. If you prefer to, if you're a little bit, I guess, nervous to start, that you might want to have a few ideas, that's sort of a good place to begin.
Great. They had some great ideas. What was the name of it again?
Craft-A-Size.
Craft-A-Size. Great. Oh, that's a really good tip. It's good to have somewhere to go where you can get some ideas as well to get started with, or to see how your children engage. So yeah, thank you for that. That's great. So and I have one more question about where you would do your sensory play. Did you find there was advantages inside, outside? You know, I mean, you mentioned in the car with the lunchbox. Do you need a particular environment to operate out of?
No, I don't think you do. I'd have to say that we do it everywhere. We inside, outside, depending on, I guess, what I'm trying to achieve, but also the time of the year. I guess I try to get my kids outside as much as I can, just purely because I think it's a great thing for them to be outside when they can. But yeah, no, you don't need to be limited by inside or out. I always have something set up at the kitchen table, so we always have a small tub there. We had we haven't got it at the moment, but we had like the shell type sand pit. We used that, so we often had that set up outside. But yeah, I'll probably have a few stations throughout the house.
Spread around. Yeah. A go-to space to make it easy. Yeah. Because often it is referred to as messy play as well, isn't it? So
it is, yes.
So that often makes sense to have a designated sort of area where you can get particularly messy and, you know, not be too concerned about, you know, what you're going to impact inside the home environment. So
right, yes.
Yeah. Any other last thoughts or comments?
Well, really just to say that, yeah, to learn to embrace the mess. I'm someone who doesn't like a lot of mess, but I mean, you just can't beat the experience of what it's actually doing for your child. So when you're cleaning up litter for months on end, just remember how much it's helping your child. So I would definitely say just learn to embrace it. It's going to make a big difference. So
Brilliant. Thank you so much for all that valuable advice. I really appreciate it. So some wonderful insights. And so anyone who is making the time to listen to this recording, thank you for giving up your valuable time for the benefit of the young people in your life. If you are a permanent care or parent needing support, please contact PCA Families at info@pcafamilies.org.au or call us on 03 9020 1833. Please subscribe or leave a review or share an idea for a future topic. Until next time, have an amazing week. Thank you.